It's Monday night. It's 8 o'clock. You know what time it is. It's time to talk TV right here on Nerd Initiative. Somebody play the intro.
I heard you on the wireless back in 52. Lying awake, intent and tuning in on you. If I was young, it didn't stop you coming through. They took the credit for your second symphony, rewritten by machine and new technology. And now I understand the problems you can see. I met your children. What did you tell them? Radio killed the radio star. Oh, radio killed the radio star. Oh, pictures came and broke your heart.
And what is going on, Internet? My name is Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's pop culture connoisseur, and we're here to finally start talking about Agatha All Along. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here. I hope you had a wonderful week, a phenomenal weekend. It is time to finally get down to it. We're going to talk about some Agatha. We're going to have some spoopy time. It is going to be awesome, and I'm here for this. I hope you're here for this. So let's get started with this. Our first episode starts right here. I love the fact that they were going for the idea. Now, if you haven't watched, spoilers, by the way, lots of spoilers. Okay. They wanted to go follow through the whole idea of WandaVision, that Wanda had kept her in this TV-like world. And the best part is as WandaVision was going on, there was a bunch, they were going through genres by genre, year by year, decade by decade, and so on and so forth. So what was interesting was the fact that by the time we got to this, and you take a look again, this was Agnes of Westview, where this was taking place still in Agnes's mind while everybody else was paying attention. It was back in reality. This was a play on the Mayor of Easttown, the Kate Winslet series that she did recently. So I just love the fact that they wanted to play into it. Because if you're going to do it right. Seriously. The best part about it is that she was off in her own little world the whole time, believing that she was this hard-boiled style, detective hitting every single trope, bringing your coffee scene to the crime, bringing your coffee to the crime scene and handing one off to the guy who's already there. Like, how smart was this? Then she picks up a kid, who, Deborah Jo Rupp, Miss Hart, happens to have ran over. And then she's interrogating him right there. So we see Teen, and what's interesting is you notice he's kind of got these blacked out fingers, and I'm going to reference this later. I have a wild theory that I hope you're down for. So, theory away, because we definitely want to know what's going on there. Go. Yeah, what is Tom's theory? I don't know. You're going to have to find out. We're going to be talking about it. But the idea that everything going on was in Agatha's head and everybody else was dealing with it. Someone made a very good point that if they ever did another episode, let's do it from the perspective of the neighbors, because she was in her own world. And trust me, if you looked around her house, it was evident. There were some folks that had come through that you noticed, that you remember from WandaVision. You had Dottie, the next door neighbor. You had Gus, the guy across the street who was trimming the hedgerow. There was a lot of great things that they were talking about here, and I can't wait to see if these things all pay off. Obviously they did, but that's only because Aubrey Plaza showed up as an FBI agent and started poking the bear and trying to get her out of this. But the kid, as they were in their interrogation room, also started breaking reality as she was trying to find out about this particular book that was at the library. You met more neighbors. She found a cameo that cameo itself, Tom's theory is good. I know things. Hi, Meg. How are you doing this evening? Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure always. Yes, she knows things. But yeah, so we're talking about the kid, and the funny thing is, you can't hear the kid's name, and we're going to talk about that. But he starts also breaking down Wanda's interesting fugue state that she is in the spell. And Rio, the as played by Aubrey Plaza, does it as also. There's a lot of little things ticking away and chipping away at the armor of this spell. And I think that's due to the fact that Wanda is no longer with us currently. That's another theory. Other little things that we saw around Wanda's house was things like, what else we got? There's a whole bedroom dedicated to Nicholas Scratch. Now, those of you who don't know, Nicholas Scratch is Wanda's son in comic books, who then again became, the leader of New Salem in Colorado, and then had 7 kids, that became the Salem 7. Obviously, we see them in episode 2, but we're not there yet. We're back at episode 1. But I got to go back to the fact that, we're going through all these genre and bit type shows that Wanda started, and chronologically, it's been 3 years. And I think when we left, we were at the Modern Family. So the fact that we got something that is extremely akin to the Mayor of Easttown was just really, really freaking smart. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that? That, they kept up the charade, or the charade as it is, to keep it going. And then eventually Aubrey Plaza's character came back when Wanda decided to finally go to the morgue to inspect the body. And when she inspected the body, the toe tag happened to have 2 names on it. What I love the fact is I really want to know if there's any relevance to these other dates right here. That's making me really sketchy about what's going on. October 22nd, February 4th, February 16th. And there's no years either. And is there also, because this is the MCU, has somebody looked up what this number is? 53961? Like, is there, was that 53061? Internet, I got to help you out here. Internet, help me out. I'm calling all typers. Take a look. See if there was a comic book that was released May 30th, 1961. How much you want to bet that there's even a callback in that? Like, it's the little tiny things. Let's think about that. Anyway, so as Agnes sees the toe tag, because of what the kids said in the interrogation room, and because of what FBI Rio is saying, like, you need to break out. We got probably one of the best scenes in the whole show so far in this first episode. I love the fact that, you look at procedural TVs and with strong female characters, and they're either like Olivia Benson, or they're like total badasses, or you just get the, not to knock the show, but the only thing I could think of is like Cagney and Lacey, always big, frumpy, so on and so forth. So having Agnes dressed up with all these layers and whatnot, she starts ripping the layers off. Each layer is a different costume, and she's even regressing back in the whole WandaVision, to the point that, she gets all the way back to black and white. That's when she picks up the toe tag to see that it was Wanda Maximoff. I wish I had more pictures. I mean, look at that. I mean, she just looks phenomenal. And cheers to the costuming team for keeping these, and also to the editors here. I mean, to do this hard black and white against this color and to make it almost seamless. I mean, cheers to that. That's editing right there, like nobody's business. So once Agnes finally gets out of her stupor, she realizes she's back home. A lot of the stuff that she's seen is in her own reality. She goes out, talks to the neighbor. also because she had ripped herself out of the cocoon of layers of Wanda, she was bare ass naked. And that's an interesting idea. It's a symbolism of rebirth. I mean, we come into the world that same exact way. I mean, I didn't come out looking this good with an awesome shirt on, but she comes, full woman empowerment, walks across the street, talks to the neighbor, completely in the buff, which a woman who's supposed to be as old as she is, like, she gives a crap. Kudos to Catherine Hahn. She did not have a butt double. We know that now. She was all gung ho, ready to do it. Then she starts realizing that, okay, well, we have things to do. When she finds out, we got to get the band back together, or we got to go down the witch's road. The kid's trying to find the witch's road for reasons, but she needs a coven. Now, how do you do that? Well, you got to get the band back together. Episode 1 really established a lot of just little intricate things in the show about breaking out of the spell and teaching us, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. One interesting fact is that you don't see, or well, you do see, but you don't hear that when Agatha, now Agatha, out of the spell, talks to the teenager, there's a big old M that comes across. And I was like, okay, this is very Billy Butcherson from Hocus Pocus. Why not go for it? I think it's a great idea. Now, is that M? I wonder, does that M look like the same M that's on here? Let's look. It does not. Similar, but not entirely Maximoff. So I'm going to say Mephisto! Because we're going to blame Mephisto for everything in the show. I want Mephisto. We've been waiting 4 years for Mephisto. 3-4 years for Mephisto. Damn it, give me my Mephisto. So that's all said and done. She decides to finally get the band back together. So the best part, and this was just so coldly played, that with all the neighbors being around, placating to her whatever dose of reality she was in, there was a little car made up. There was this, that, and the other thing. The kid was supposed to be in a jail cell. Well, apparently he was just locked in her closet. So, just a little mild kidnapping. Mrs. Hart hitting the kid with a car. That one I really would like to see from, somebody else's perspective. Yeah, exactly. Just like Megan said here. I loved how she came out of her curse. It was super creative. I love the fact that, you regressed back to where you were. I think it was a very, very smart idea. But yeah, seeing an episode or even getting, I've talked about this on other podcasts, that maybe doing the ancillary media, because Marvel owns everything. Why not throw something up on TikTok or Instagram or something from everybody else's perspective? Why not do a whole mass media marketing for it? I think it would run really well. So by the next day, or when she finally snaps out of it, she finally gets she gets herself together as much as she possibly can, and literally hodgepodges an outfit together. I love the hat, the sweater. Like, this is, darling, I just don't know. I'm just throwing something together because I look fabulous. And it works for her. Just saying. Eventually, we get to the fact that she needs to start getting a group together. This was really fun. This follows the obvious trope of, let's get the band back together. Also, let's note the fact that now that we're in episode 2, we got an actual opening, a legit opening, because, well, now we're into the show itself. It's not Mephisto. Dark Side. Ken, you're on the wrong side of the comic books. Mephisto. All right, I'll just throw this out here to you, Ken. If you want to talk Dark Side, who would you get to voice Dark Side or to act, to mocap him? Think about it. So we get to the next episode. We get an actual legit opening. It was really good. It wasn't that long. Agatha All Along, fantastic. They realized they got to get the band back together. I like the fact that they played into the idea that doesn't really matter where you are within 3 miles, which was kind of odd that they picked three. I would have thought maybe six, 666. I don't know. Three's interesting. Nope, sorry, he already played Lex Luthor. Try again. No, you're right. He can play anything. I mean, he goes from the Kurgan to why not? I was wondering if you were going to say Ironside, but he did such a wonderful job with him. You can't beat that. Anyhow, so they decide to go get the band back together, and I don't know the whole idea of the 3 miles. It doesn't make sense to me. I've done math, and it's like, okay, three. The pentagram is 5 sides, so that'd be 15. I don't know how that math works out, but then we start to meet the actresses who are playing. Nope, dual role. Okay, fair enough. God, could you imagine Darkseid versus Lex? Oof. Oh, especially in that last scene. Anyway, tangenting. Squirrel. Um, because he had to put on his power suit. So we keep going on, and the whole idea that everybody's within 3 miles is like, okay, we got that. So we start meeting the witches that are going to make the coven. The great thing is that we first start off with the divination witch, played by Broadway royalty Patti LuPone. All right. I love the fact that she is in here. This is amazing. She's got the chops like nobody's business, like especially because we have Captain Han who can sing. To have Patti LuPone just one up her like this is just going to be absolutely freaking amazing. She is a divination witch. Interestingly enough, in the comic books, I found out that she is the ancestor of the first Baron Mordo. It's like she took her favorite dads from. It's like she took her favorite dads from each time period she lived and put it in one outfit. Let's bring that picture back up. Okay. So we've got, all right. So definitely this whole geometric pattern, definitely 80s ish vibes. The pinstripe shirt, I mean, that's a classic look. The Indiana Jones style fedora, I mean, yeah, you could definitely throw that all the way back to, black and white. Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. I'll admonish that. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Anyway, Patti LuPone. She's amazing. Um, Aside from that, she's the divination witch, and she's also an ancestor of the first original Baron Mordo in the comics. She does not want to join Agatha, and the best part is that all the witches know she's an absolute witch. To turn a phrase. With that said, Teen or Toto or whatever you want to call the kid, because I am not calling him Wiccan. I know there are theories out there. My theory's better, and I don't care what you say. And once you hear it, you're down with it. So the kid is really up on everybody's issues or stuff that's going on like IRL in real life. And apparently she's getting kicked out. She's got foreclosure or whatever's going on. So why not go down the witch's road? You can get the thing you want. Oh, okay, sounds like a little bit of a Faustian deal to me, which I absolutely love the idea. So she decides to join. Next, we need spells and potions, and with that, we go over to our next witch, and which is great. This is why am I completely blanking right now? Kaplan. Jennifer Kale, right? So Jennifer Kale is, they decided to change up the character, one with somebody else racially, which I think is absolutely fine nowadays. And need more representation. Um, Coming off of Saturday Night Live, and I mean she is pulling this off. Now, like I said, everybody has their foibles. So how does she get involved? Because she also knows that I ain't getting involved with Agatha. Well, she has a pending lawsuit for like 80,000, 8,000, or 80,000 people because of her, always a pleasure. Uh, because of her products she's selling. I mean, you want to talk about MLM stuff? Hmm. Yeah. So she decides to join as well. Next, we need a protection witch, which is interesting. Protection spells, I think, is a great idea. Um, so they go for Jennifer Wu. Uh, and I think it's a great idea that, her mother had some problems and issues. She's also made a very famous version of the Witches Road song, which is also being broken up and used as the episode titles throughout the show. So hindsight is 2020. What are we going to get by the time we get to the last episode? Uh, Following her comic book character origins, they were a cop. The only difference is this time they, went kind of rogue, and now they are a shopping mall cop. Paul Blart all the way. And Hot Topic though, so that's kind of cool. And they give her a chair, so I'm good with that. I like the fact that having the two bigger actors, in my opinion, have their chance to shine in this first or in the second episode. First, with them really showing up was smart. I don't think that our protection witch is really. They're very reserved. It's like I don't want to do magic. My mom did magic. I don't want to. A little crybaby ish. I think we're going to see her develop more as the show goes on. When they finally get back to Agnes's house, they realize they need another witch. They need five. They got to do a pentagram. Um, the kid is not powerful enough to be able to summon the door to the road. All right, cool, down with that. Uh, they're told, hey, we need a green witch. We need someone to do the earth. Now, when they were at Divination's place, she wrote down the names of everybody that they needed, so they knew exactly who to get, with the exception of the last one. That was a black heart. Having that said, Agatha decides to go down the street and enroll her neighbor, who happens to just, be gardening. Look at that outfit. Just look at that outfit. She looks so good. So yeah, so there's the divination scene where she figures out, oh well, you know what? Let me do this, that, and the thing. I'll write this name down, and that's who you're going to get. And again, kudos. That is practical effects mixed with a little bit of CGI. I love good practical effect. Practical effect any given day. So she decides to get her neighbor, Mrs. Hart, who was also stuck in the whole WandaVision thing. And I think it's a fun play that the fact that she's gardening to go for this whole green witch thing. So they get back down to Agatha's, and we get to finally see the basement. The basement originally in WandaVision was kind of like this weird, creepy tunnel thing. It was this big, huge, I believe it might have been a hexagon, maybe an octagon shaped room. Um, but now it looks just like a basement. You don't see the creepy archways or anything involved with that. And that's cool. So they decide to start singing the song. I wish I could play this on here, but copyright purposes, I can't. If I could, I absolutely would. With that said, it looks like it didn't happen, and also Mrs. Hart has no clue about the song. But my God, was that performed so beautifully, so wonderfully. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I cannot wait to find somebody that does a rock and roll or a hard metal cover of it, because that's what I need. But she starts getting into it. She picks up on the chorus, starts dancing. And Deborah Jo Rupp, being Deborah Jo Rupp, just is Deborah Joe erupting on the scene, just happy and joyful. Everybody else is very pensive and but powerful at the same time, summoning, the maiden mother of the crone, trying to make this manifest. At the same time, the kids upstairs, weird fog starts rolling in, and next thing you know, the Salem Seven are there, and there's Deborah Joe Rupp going, "Am I supposed to know this song?" You know, and she just goes into it, and the kids upstairs, weird fog is rolling in, and outside you see the Salem Seven, which has also been nodded to in little tiny scenes because of their familiars. So there's some things might be a little familiar to you. There was a crow, there was a rat. What was the other? There was also a wolf on the street. So that's three of the seven already represented. If you go back and look at the comics, the Salem Seven are Agatha's grandchildren, and they're very, very, oh hey, I'm a snake witch, so I'm going to look like freaking Medusa, or hey, I'm a rat, I'm going to look very anthropomorphized or humanoid in a silly suit. So okay, that's what they're doing with that. They chose not to do that. They're in black cloaks, creepy as hell. You definitely get some like the what's the movie? The Exorcist and The Ring vibes all mixed together. Like they were doing shortcuts, cutting frames, so things would really just jump out at the screen at you. So cheers to that. By the time they had finally like broken into the house, the first time they sang the round of the song, it didn't work out very well. Uh, Oh, dude, sing it to us. Sorry, you have to make sure that it comes in a super chat. Super chat start at $20 for me to be able to sing the song, and I'd have to practice first for next week. So if anybody wants a super chat, $20, I will sing the song on here because I think I can get away with that for copyright purposes, considering it be my own interpretation. I don't know. I need a week to just look up the legalities of that. But thanks for trying. Uh, so they start singing, they break in, and it didn't really work the first time. So Agatha calls them out and says, "All right, uses the reverse psychology to really get them going." What I really liked about this is you saw like flashes of power in them. Now, typically, um, right now, the song is based on earth, fire, air, the basic elements. So if each of them represent a base element, what exactly does Agatha represent? Divination, I can see something on the wind because it comes to you like a breeze. Um, Protection would definitely be for me earth. Uh, Potions could be fire because you're manifesting, you're making energy. Air or earth, definitely Miss Hart, with the green thumb. But more than likely, it's probably going to be Rio, as it plays by Aubrey Plaza, because her character in the comics is known as the Green Witch. So that's where I'm at. What does Agatha represent? Now I know in some cultures, as far as it comes to the different elements, the fifth element is typically metal, and like Eastern mythologies. How are they going to represent it here in the magical sense of the MCU? Now, if somebody happens to know what it is nowadays in modern, Wicca or any of those type of religions, you are more than welcome to drop it in here. I would love to know what your thoughts are on that. Anyway, so the Salem Seven are starting to attack the house. The kid gets like completely freaked out. The door opens up, and they start walking down through these gorgeous vines in a tree. Like he just completely gets spooked and goes down. All right. So they run down, and I love this. And if anybody on here happens to be like uh, from the Delaware Valley area, tell me that this does not remind you of either walking through the heart or the Philadelphia Zoo. And you know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this. So Agatha and everybody decide to walk down the steps that had been built at that have come up from this awesome pentagon shaped wooden door with big, huge knockers. Oh, what knockers, Herr Doctor? Thank you, Herr Doctor. They go down, and they are finally on the Witch's Road. Now, I really, really wish I can't tell from this scene because they've already taken their shoes off. You know, one way that they wanted to feel connected to the Witch's Road is, you know, in magic, they want you to take off your shoes and commune with nature. Well, they've already taken their shoes off because one, it's a line in the song, and two, that way they can feel the road ahead of them. And I really wish because, and there's no picture for it that I have, but when you look at it, there's six of them there, and out of the six, there's one obvious set of shoes that is out of balance. The other ones are all in a perfect pentagon, right? But there's one set that's outside. And I don't know whose it is, but I'm saying they're going to be the first one to go. I'm putting it out there, or they're going to be the first one to have troubles, and Rio has to show up and help figure this out and take over the spot. Like, you have one too many people for a pentagram. It's 5 point star. There's 6 people right now. Now, if we go with the whole idea that the kid is, you know, her familiar or apprentice or trainee, yeah, there's some leeway there. But other things that we want to, you know, talk about leeway is the fact that they mentioned Nicholas Scratch, the fact that they mentioned that her rabbit is Mr. Scratchy, Senor Scratchy. Lo siento. So is that a familiar of Nicholas? You know, when she was Agnes, and possibly even Agatha, because I don't know if we went back in there when after she broke the spell. The bedroom for Nicholas Scratch was untouched, completely untouched. The road looked absolutely wonderful, and I cannot wait to see what they do. And you can definitely tell, like, they did a full Wizard of Oz on this because they did with nowadays with, you know, having that big huge expanse. Because I'm assuming they still filmed at the same spot where they did Mando. If you look really good, it is practical, and then you can see either painted or the LED screen, and it's such a tiny, tiny transition. You really have to look really, really hard. Going back to Nicholas Scratch, is Senor Scratchy her familiar, or is it an embodiment of her son? Did she change him to save him? There's all a bunch of things. Did she change him because she was pissed off that he made 7 horrible kids? I don't know. There's a lot of great little things about that. Now, let's talk about a few things that we noticed in the show. Now, as Agnes, because I got to keep going back and forth, as Agnes was looking up the book that the dead person, who we're going to assume was a Wanda or a manifestation of Wanda, whether it was Agnes's manifestation or not, remains to be seen. News at 11. With that said, they had a library card. That library card was for a very specific book, and the book was, you know, had every first letter of each word capitalized, putting them all together, made Darkhold. That was the first time Agatha / Agnes was starting to break the reality of what was going on. Second time was when the kid started speaking Latin to her. And then third time, it was Rio really pushing her to come through and literally unwrap herself of everything that, you know, all this trauma dumping and everything that's on her, because, you know, everybody needs a good hoodie when you're not feeling well. But in her case, she had the hoodie, an extra hoodie, the trench coat, another hoodie, a sweater. She had a headband on, some, you know, Olivia Newton-John style, you know, stretchy socks, all kinds of layers. Just like an ogre or an onion, many layers. So that was kind of fun to do that. And again, what's going on with the whole stuff with Senor Scratchy? By the time she broke it out, you know, it was pretty interesting. Now, going back to the book that, you know, she rearranged her words to say Darkhold, it was written by, and I got the note right here, and Andrew Ugo. Okay? Somebody pointed out on the internet, and I got to give him credit to this. if you change the words around, it's Wanderugo. It's the mountain that was in Multiverse of Madness that Wanda, tore down on herself. Like, one, kudos to the guy who has that much time to figure that stuff out. And two, what a great pickup. Like, seriously. And obviously, teen, everybody's saying out there, oh, it's Wiccan, it's Wiccan, it's Wiccan, it's Tommy, it's this kid. As they're driving, you see that the kid is obviously, gay, and you see the boyfriend call. So, okay, now we've got another nod to, could it possibly be Hulkling? Possibly be Hulkling or not? We don't know. Could this be a red herring? I hope it is. All right, is everybody ready for my theory? All right, only Megan knows what my theory is. Okay, here we go. My theory is that the book that the kid is not the manifestation or the force of will that the Scarlet Witch had making Tommy, because you need to have both kids. What I think is that the Darkhold can never be destroyed, like we've seen in Agent Carter or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think that the kid is a living manifestation of what's left of the Darkhold. That's why he doesn't have his full power. And that's what he needs to be able to get down the Witch's Road to reincarnate himself as the Darkhold or Mephisto or whatever. Hence the M. Not Maximoff, but Mephisto. That's where I'm thinking we're at. I really, really want to see that happen. Am I going to try and manifest it? There you go. But they've already shot everything. So we'll find out as we go. Speaking of as we go, one of the great things that they're doing is they're really playing into the whole idea of all these great little nods to famous movie posters and everything else that's going on. And you really got to go and check them out online. There are so many great posters, nods to other things. Like, the first few episodes we had Rocky Horror. You had something that was like Cabin in the Woods, or Poltergeist. I can't remember exactly which one. I don't do horror. So one other thing I really want to see by the end of the series is I think Catherine Hahn can pull this off. And I talked about this one before, and I'll talk about it again. I really do think she can pull this off. Costuming, hear me out, do the thing. Like, let's get away from this. Not that it wasn't cool. And let's get a little more of this. Just saying. But yeah, that's my theory. I think the kid is a living embodiment of the Darkhold who's trying to reconstitute himself. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Let me know below. Now, who's the boyfriend? I don't know. Who is the boyfriend? I don't think it's Hulkling. I really think it's a red herring. For all we know, it could be a Skrull. Why not? Because it's Marvel. I mean, mind you, wasn't Hulkling like some alien species much akin to Skrulls who was able to shapeshift but loved the Hulk so much? I don't know. But yeah, the fact that Andrew Ugo was Wandergo, where the mountain was a really great idea. At the same time, another thing that I think they're hinting at is that Agatha's maiden mother crone cameo right here was a locket, and in that locket was a lock of hair. There's a theory going around that, oh, is this Nicholas's hair or is it Rio's hair? Because I got a real hard suspicion that Aubrey Plaza's character and Agatha. Now I'm going back and forth. I can't get my A's all straight. Were a couple, and that's why it was a black heart. She even said, Aubrey Plaza's character did say black heart at some point. And black heart is the child of Mephisto. So who knows where this is going? And that's the best part. we're only 2 episodes in, and I cannot wait for the next episode. And I cannot wait for you guys to come back next week and talk to me about this. Now, I know there's a few days in between, so that gives us a whole weekend to talk about it. Go hit the water cooler, talk, with Aunt Tilly from Toledo, find out what she thinks. I think that what Marvel is doing here is taking a great show, because I think honestly, WandaVision is up there with one of the best shows that Marvel put out since they've been on Disney Plus. I still think Loki is number one to certain extents. I'm not saying it is the number one. I think at certain points it was number one. It was real neck and neck. What If was also up on my list as well. I think they've got a really good base. I think they're really going to strike hard with this. What's the end game? A lot, not Avengers. What are they trying to accomplish with this show? Everybody's saying they're setting up Young Avengers. Everybody's saying they're setting up this, that, and the other thing. I don't care. I just want a good freaking show. What we get out of it, we get out of it, and be freaking grateful. The best part is one thing we've already got. This is a smaller title card, so you don't have to. And you see all the and Marvel. Now we have a smaller Marvel television title card. Did anybody notice that? I did. It was much more palatable because we got more show out of it instead of flipping through all the pages. There's so much more stuff going on in the show. And in the meantime, to hold you over, make sure you're checking out everything that's going on over here on Nerd Initiative. Because, over here at Nerd Initiative, we love to, one, segue, and two, we absolutely love our QR codes. So make sure that you're checking out our website. Everything that's going on is right here in the QR code below. I want to see some scans tonight right here. You guys can't see it, but up here on my screen, it'll blink when somebody scans a code, and I'll just, go cuckoo. If you're not, make sure that you're subscribed to Nerd Initiative here on YouTube. And trust me, the homework is going to be coming up shortly. It is getting to the end of con season with New York Comic Con coming up and the weather being crap in New York at times. You want to make sure you go to the Nerd Initiative merch store right on down here. I got it backwards. Down here, wear your nerd on your sleeve. Trust me, you'll notice us, the Nerd Initiative team. We're going to be rocking NIs all through the show. So if you see us, say hi. Yeah, what if it is Rio's hair as part of their blood pack? In the comics, they did have a blood pack, so that could be it. Agatha did say that the only way that she's able to absorb powers, which probably she got from her first trip down the road, is that's how she absorbs powers, because when somebody blasts her. I don't think that's going to happen. She also mentioned that green powers and hers, green and her purple don't mix well together. Oh, look, green and purple. Again, I've said that, if she's got green powers, which are usually life type powers, and she's got purple, which is usually death and darkness, I don't think they're not going to play well together. It's like oil and water. After that, we've got all the stuff going on. Tomorrow night, we got a very special episode of Turn a Page. Me and Ken and Matt from Hops Geek News, we're going to be talking to David Pepos, talking about Space Ghost. So make sure you're checking in. That is going to be an absolutely live interview tomorrow night at 8 o'clock here on all the social medias. On Wednesday, we don't really make videos, but we do these things called comic book reviews. So we're going to have over 30 different reviews coming up this week in article form, in video form, in every kind of form that you can think of. And then once you're done catching up on your comics, and you got to get all that frustration out, you want to jump in from the top rope and check out Wrestling Night Live. That's right. Rich, New Guy Nick, and Ken are going to be back on Thursday talking about everything in ACW, WDW, WWE, WWF. I don't know all the acronyms, and New Japan Wrestling, all right there. Oh, wait, there. Sorry. And on Friday, if you weren't here this past week, we just did our first episode of Play for Keeps with our fantastic buddy Mickey, Cell Phone Wallet Keys, as sponsored by Big Bad Toy Store. So make sure you go check them out. It's a fantastic thing. We were talking toys, talking about what we picked up this week, all courtesy of Big Bad Toy Store. In the meantime, make sure you're checking out everything else that we're doing here on Nerd Initiative. If you want to follow me, you can check out the QR code below. In the meantime, make sure you're back here for Nerd Initiative TV Talk. Get on the website, do the thing. There's so much stuff going on. We really want to see you there. Talk to us. What's your theories about the show? What do you want to see out of Agatha All Along? Is there something you really, really want? Is there a character? Is there a Marvel character? Is there just an actor? Is there a nod? Where do you want to see? We want to talk about it. So be back here Monday night. Have a wonderful week ahead of you. Make sure to check out everything else that we're doing over at Nerd Initiative. Be excellent to each other. I'll catch you in the next one.